The house was quiet, almost too quiet. With Wilson gone on his week-long vacation with his friends, it felt like the whole place had taken a breath and paused. No loud music from his room, no heavy footsteps echoing down the hall, no sarcastic remarks tossed at me when I passed the couch. It was peaceful, but lonely too. I was lounging in a hoodie and shorts, halfway through a second rewatch of Call Me By Your Name, when someone knocked on the front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I muted the TV and walked over, curiosity and a little apprehension tingling in my chest. When I opened the door, the breath I didn't realize I was holding got caught in my throat. He was standing there with that easy kind of confidence people either have or fake very well. Black t-shirt under a faded denim jacket, dark hair tousled just enough to look perfect without trying. His eyes, warm, steady, found mine and stayed there. "Hey," he said, giving a small smile. "Is Wilson home?" I blinked, my mind scrambling to catch up. This had to be him. "You're Michael, right?" I asked. "Yeah," he nodded, brushing his hand through his hair. "And you're—" "I'm his brother," I said. "Wilson's not here. He's out of town. Beach trip, chaos, sunburns, the works." Michael chuckled, and something about the sound settled in my chest, like it belonged there. "I figured he might be," he said, lifting a small box in his hand. "I was just dropping something off. No big deal." "Want to come in for a minute?" I asked before I could stop myself. "You can leave it in his room, unless you're in a rush." He hesitated, just for a second, then nodded. "Sure." He stepped inside. The house suddenly felt warmer. As I closed the door behind him, I caught his scent, something subtle and clean, like cedarwood and fresh air. He looked around like he remembered the place from visits before, but it had changed just enough to make him pause. "Kitchen's that way if you want some water," I offered. He looked over his shoulder and smiled. "That obvious?" I just shrugged and led the way. In the kitchen, he poured himself a glass and leaned casually against the counter like he'd done it 100 times. I stayed across from him, arms folded, watching him like I was trying to solve a puzzle I didn't know I'd started. "You live here too?" he asked after a sip. "Yeah," I said. "Moved back last year after school. Wilson and I share the house for now. Parents left it to us after they moved out of state." He nodded thoughtfully. "It's got a nice energy." I smiled at that. "You can thank me. Wilson's taste in decor is chaotic." Michael laughed softly. "That tracks." There was a pause, a soft, heavy silence that didn't feel awkward, just charged. "You want to stay a bit?" I asked. "It's just me here. I was watching a movie and pretending I don't have laundry to do." Michael looked at me for a long moment, then said, "What movie?" "Call Me By Your Name." He smiled with a flicker of something in his eyes I couldn't name yet. "Good one." We moved back to the living room. The movie still paused, Peach Orchard glowing on the screen. He sat beside me, not too close, not too far, but the air between us felt alive. We talked about everything and nothing, about Wilson's dumb college antics, about music, about how Michael had just come back to town after months of working in LA. The way he spoke, soft but deliberate, like every word mattered, drew me in. He listened, really listened, and the way his eyes met mine when I spoke made me feel like I was being seen for the first time in a long while. And then there was this moment, a beat of silence after a shared laugh. Our eyes caught, held. Neither of us looked away. I didn't know what to say. I didn't need to. His hand moved slightly, fingers brushing against mine on the couch cushion. A subtle touch, gentle, testing. I didn't pull away. The world slowed down around us. My heart beat loud in my ears. He leaned in, not all the way, just enough for me to feel the warmth of his breath. His lips parted. Mine did too. And then he stopped, just for a second. "Is this okay?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, and then he kissed me. Software. Sure, like he meant it, like he'd wanted to for a while. And I kissed him back. His lips were soft, warm, the kind of kiss that doesn't ask for permission. It gently waits for you to lean in too. And I did. I didn't know what surprised me more, that Michael had kissed me, or that I didn't hesitate. When we pulled back, he stayed close, his forehead nearly touching mine, breath slightly unsteady. "Sorry," he said, though his voice didn't sound regretful. "I shouldn't have." "No," I interrupted quietly. "I'm glad you did." He looked at me, and whatever tension had flickered behind his eyes softened. His smile returned, a bit slower this time, like he was trying to understand what just happened between us, but not in a rush to define it. He looked at me, and whatever tension had flickered behind his eyes softened. His smile returned, a bit slower this time, like he was trying to understand what just happened between us, but not in a rush to define it. "I wasn't planning on this," he said. "Neither was I." It was the kind of moment where you could pretend time had stopped. Just two people on a couch, in a quiet house, kissing like it was the most natural thing in the world. But then the weight of it hit, just slightly. The unspoken facts. He was Wilson's friend. Wilson, who had no idea. Wilson, who might not react well. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to care right now. "You want to finish the movie?" I asked, voice soft, still a little dazed. He gave a small laugh. "You sure? It might ruin the whole mood." "I don't think anything could ruin this." So we did. We sat back, side by side, our legs just barely touching. But this time, there was a different kind of warmth in the space between us. Every now and then, I'd glance over and catch him watching me, not in a creepy or intense way, just curious, like he was trying to memorize me. When the movie ended, the credits rolled over soft piano music, and neither of us moved. Outside, the sun had dipped below the skyline, painting the living room in a golden haze. Michael turned toward me, his elbow on the back of the couch. "That scene where Elio breaks down at the end?" "I know," I said, feeling it all over again in my chest. "It wrecks me every time." "I've been there," he said quietly. I met his eyes. Me too. We sat in that silence, not awkward, not forced, just full. Then, like a string gently tugged, our lips met again. Slower this time, more certain. Like we were both leaning into something neither of us had fully admitted we wanted. His hand brushed the side of my face, his thumb lingering just under my jaw. The kiss deepened, not rushed, but needing something more. His other hand found mine, fingers intertwining, grounding us. And suddenly, it didn't feel like a fleeting spark. It felt like a match had been lit inside me. When we finally pulled away, I leaned my head against his shoulder. He rested his cheek against my hair. No words, just closeness. Eventually, he sighed. "I should probably go." The disappointment was sharp. I didn't want the night to end. "Right," I said, trying not to let it show. Michael sat up, looked at me. "Do you want to hang out again while Wilson's away? Just us?" I bit my bottom lip, nodding. "Yeah, I do." He smiled. Not a smirk, not a grin, just something small and real. "I'll text you," he said, "if that's okay." "Please do." He leaned in for one last kiss. This one was slower, lingering like a promise. Then he stood, grabbed his keys, and headed to the door. Before stepping out, he turned. "Hey. Yeah? I'm really glad he wasn't home today." And then he was gone. I stood there for a long time after he left, heart racing, lips tingling, thoughts spinning. I didn't know what we were, or where this would go, but I knew one thing for sure. I wanted to find out. I kept checking my phone, pretending I wasn't waiting for a message that I absolutely was. Every vibration made my pulse spike. Every silence stretched longer than it should have. By evening, when my phone finally lit up with Michael, I nearly dropped it. "You free tomorrow?" I grinned before I even replied. "Yeah. Come over?" "If you'll kiss me again," God, this man. The next day, he showed up just before sunset. No box to drop off this time. No pretense. Just him in a grey hoodie and jeans, looking unfairly good in the golden hour light. We didn't watch a movie this time. We barely even made it to the couch. As soon as the door shut, we were kissing. Faster now, deeper. Days of tension had built up like a tide behind us, and we finally let it crash. He backed me gently against the hallway wall, one hand cupping my face, the other pressing just above my hip. His kisses were slower this time, more intense, focused, like he was trying to memorize every detail of how I felt beneath his lips. My hands found the hem of his hoodie, sliding up to feel the warmth of his skin underneath. His breath caught, and when he pulled back to look at me, his eyes were darker, serious. "I haven't felt this in a long time," he murmured. "Me neither." We didn't go further than kissing that night, but it didn't matter. What happened between us wasn't just physical, it was emotional, electric. The way he held me, the way he whispered things in the quiet, the way our fingers stayed tangled even when we weren't touching lips. We talked until nearly midnight, about everything, growing up, coming out, first crushes, heartbreak. I told him how I always felt like I had to keep things hidden around Wilson. Michael admitted he hadn't told many people he was into guys, especially not friends like Wilson. That part stung a little. Would he freak out if he knew? Michael hesitated. "I don't think so. But I don't know. We've never talked about it. And I've never wanted someone he was related to before." That line hung in the air, a quiet truth. "I don't want to be a secret," I said softly. "I don't want you to be," he said, even softer. And I believed him. That night, he kissed me one more time at the door, slower than any of the others, like he didn't want to leave. Neither did I. 2 more days passed. He came over again, once for dinner, once just to lie beside me and talk until we both dozed off on the couch. Every time he left, I felt a little more hollow. Every time he returned, I filled back up. But on the 5th day, things shifted. I'd posted a story on Instagram, just a casual pic, coffee mugs side by side on the counter, his hand barely visible in the frame, bracelets and all. I didn't even think about it. It looked like nothing. To anyone else, it was nothing. But Wilson messaged me 20 minutes later. "Is that Michael's hand?" Shit. "Yeah. Why?" "He's in town and didn't tell me. He just came by. We hung out." A pause. Cool. Just one word. But it sat like a loaded gun in my chest. That night, Michael came over again. I told him what happened. The messages, the tone, the shift. He sat on the couch, brows furrowed. "You think he suspects?" I sighed. "I don't know. It felt weird." Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he looked up at me. "Maybe we should cool it for a bit, just until he gets back." The words hit harder than I expected. "Cool it?" I repeated. "Like, stop seeing each other?" "No, just slow down. Keep things low. He's my friend. You're his brother. I don't want to mess that up." I folded my arms. "What about us?" He looked torn. "This thing, whatever we're building, it's real. I know that. But if we rush it, it could explode in our faces." The thing is, he wasn't wrong, but it still hurt. "Okay," I said after a beat. "We'll wait." Michael reached for my hand. "I'm not going anywhere. I just don't want us to start in secret and end in flames." I nodded. He kissed me again, slow, deliberate, almost apologetic. But that kiss felt different. It felt like a pause, like holding your breath underwater. And somewhere deep in my chest, I felt the storm coming. The front door swung open with his usual chaotic energy, his voice echoing through the hall. "I'm back, losers." I was sitting on the living room floor, trying to focus on my sketchbook, but my hand froze over the paper. My heart stuttered. After 5 days of space from Michael, everything I had been holding in threatened to break the surface. Wilson plopped onto the couch, dropped his bag, and started talking about the trip. Sunburns, drunk friends, a lost wallet. I smiled where I could, laughed when expected, but my chest ached. He paused eventually, looked at me, eyes narrowing just slightly. "You good?" he asked. "You've been kinda off." I shrugged. "Just tired." A pause. Then, "So, Michael was here." There it was. I swallowed. "Yeah, he came by." Wilson nodded. "You didn't tell me." "He just dropped something off. We hung out a bit." "Right," he said, but his voice sounded guarded. "You guys close now?" My silence answered for me. He sat up straighter. "Wait, are you serious?" I looked at him. "We didn't plan it, Wilson." His mouth opened, then shut again. His jaw clenched. "You hooked up with my best friend while I was gone?" I stood up. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" "He kissed me. I kissed him back. And we kept talking. We kept feeling. It's real." Wilson stood too. "Real? You don't even know him." "I know how he makes me feel." Wilson stared at me, angry and confused, and maybe hurt, like he was watching the world tilt in a direction he never expected. "You couldn't have picked literally anyone else." "I didn't pick him," I snapped. "He just showed up, and I didn't ask for it, but I'm not sorry, okay? I like him." That hit harder than anything else. Wilson's shoulders slumped. The anger drained just a little. Underneath it was something quieter. "You could have told me," he said. "I didn't know how," I admitted. "And I didn't want to lose both of you at once." He didn't respond right away, just stared at the floor. Then, "Is he serious about you?" The doorbell rang before I could answer. I knew it was him. I knew. I walked to the door, opened it. Michael stood there, like fate timed it perfectly. Black jeans, white t-shirt, nervous eyes. His gaze flicked from me to Wilson, visible just behind my shoulder. Silence. Then Michael said, "I wanted to talk to both of you." Wilson crossed his arms. Michael stepped inside, cleared his throat, and said something that made my heart ache and swell all at once. "I like your brother," he said to Wilson. "I didn't plan on it, but I do. I didn't come here to mess with your family or betray you. I came because I saw something I didn't know I was missing." Michael took a step closer. "I'm not asking for your blessing, but I'm not going to lie anymore either. If this ends because you can't handle it, then I guess that's the cost." I held my breath. Wilson stared at both of us. The seconds stretched. Then he sighed, dropped onto the couch, and muttered, "If either of you breaks the other's heart, I'm kicking your ass." Both of you. Relief hit me so fast I almost stumbled. Michael smiled, just slightly, and reached for my hand. I took it. Wilson looked up at us with that same big brother expression he used when I was 5 and scraped my knee. "I don't want to see it," he grumbled. "No kissing in my damn house." We laughed. All three of us. That night, Michael stayed over. We lay in my bed, tangled in each other, nothing between us but the dark and the weight of everything we'd just survived. "I thought I was going to lose you today," he whispered. "You won't," I whispered back. We kissed again, longer, deeper, slower. This time, no secrets, no guilt. He rolled over, pulling me close. My head rested on his chest, his heartbeat steady under my ear. I felt safe, grounded, loved. "Are we something now?" I asked. Michael smiled against my forehead. "We're everything now.